California is not a hospital. San Diego, it's not a hospital. This is a constitutional republic that guarantees protection of individual freedom and liberty and due process. This applies to our individual pursuits of medical interventions and health practices. San Diego is not a hospital floor that we collectively have checked into that subjects all patients to equitably prescribed medical care with no due process. Our Constitution does not secure for government power to impose forced equity in medical mandates and interventions or the power to punish carte blanche. There are 3.338 million people in San Diego County, 3,811 people who have died with COVID. Of those, 96%, 3,652 had comorbidities with hypertension, diabetes, cardiac disease accounting for the top three. Median age 77. That is a total fatality rate of 0.1%. 3.338 million people. That is a clear affinity for a specific vulnerable age and health demographic with majority fatalities prior to available treatment options and prevention. 91% of San Diegans, 60-69, received the injection. 98%, 70-79, received the injection. We remove consent from treating us like we are patients in a hospital ward. We are done. The consent of the governed is removed. We will not comply. We do not consent. Nathan Fletcher, you are on notice. We will constitutionally remove all petty tyrants beginning now.
Your time.
This is to the government of Australia, or the so-called corporate government. We run this country. We the people, and I'm a truck driver. We as truckies, we will block all your highways, we'll block all your ports, and we'll even stop what we need to stop. There is nothing you will be able to do. You back off. These are our roads. This is our country, and we will run it how we want to run it. This is our country. You and your vaccines is bullshit. You can fuck off. You are not going to mandate nothing. And for the kids, what you're doing, right, is disgusting. What you've done in Round 'em Up in New South Wales is disgusting. We are going to run this country. We are taking it back. Us truck drivers are going to be the front line, and whoever's behind us, we are going to take our country back. You politicians make me sick. You guys are filthy. You guys do not represent us people, and you don't represent this country.
To Gino Lorenzo, who assaulted me, the Queensland police were told and were given a phone call. They did not bother to act us. Stop resisting, mate. Right.
Hey, his face is turning blue. Can you not, please?
I know.
You know?
I know.
Can you not?
Or I knocked you out.
Gosh. Okay, good one there.
Welcome to another edition of Point Counterpoint. This is Robert.
I'm Sujay.
And we want to talk about, let's see, two things, Afghanistan and what I believe is the creeping fascism that is coming all across the world. Afghanistan, wow. I mean,
It's a mess, isn't it?
It's such a mess where I wonder if it's crazy to say, but is it on purpose?
Yes.
I mean, you know, there has to be an incredible level of incompetence for that to happen. And either like they're purposely hiring incompetent people, or they're another agenda at work, and this furthers
I
agenda.
I think there is another agenda to this. It's
Well, what
just not incompetence. Yeah, so see that. So the thing is, right. So there are two things that have struck me. Okay, one is the Democrats always want war. Okay, they are perpetual warmongers. They always want war. That way, they can just funnel the money through taxpayer dollars, and then like how Julian Assange exposed it back in 2011 when he told us the whole point of the Afghan war. Okay, so that could be one. That's one thing. The second one is, given Biden's connections with China. Okay, what we now know is that Afghanistan is sitting on like trillions of dollars worth of natural minerals.
It is.
Yeah, yeah. So if the United States pulls out and China recognizes the Taliban as the sole power in Afghanistan, that will give them the right, because the one thing with China is they have the money, they have the infrastructure, they have the brains. They will go in the name of development, and they know what to extract out of Afghanistan. And if that is their goal, then I think China has won a war against America without even drawing a weapon.
Did you ever read the book? I know I'm going to mispronounce it. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. I'm sure
No, I
I
haven't.
butchered the name.
No, I haven't.
The greatest victory, and I'm going to butcher the quote. It's basically a victory fought without war,
Right.
and that would be a victory without war. Also, you've heard of the Silk Road. It's basically a China project to do a, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, to basically integrate China more with Africa, Europe. Well, yeah, that this would go a long way in realizing their dream of the Silk Road.
I mean,
And
that is the Silk Route. Like, if people are familiar with geography, the route from Afghanistan to China that goes above Pakistan and India, that's called the Silk Route. So for China to just go into Afghanistan, it's so easy because they don't have to bypass India, because we are China's main sort of enemy in this whole geographical location. Pakistan, China owns Pakistan. So now, with the help of what's happening right now, China will own Afghanistan too. And I think that is how China will slowly scrape itself into Europe and also Africa. Africa, I'm not too sure because it's too big, but you can't put anything past China these days.
I'm also afraid this will motivate the Chinese to maybe finally roll the dice and invade Taiwan because they think the U.S.
Yes,
is weak.
yes. And did you see what happened right after the U.S. troops pulled out of Afghanistan? China gave a warning to Taiwan, saying that if they can do that to you, they can do that to you as well. And once
Yes.
the U.S. got out of Taiwan, Taiwan's no more.
Yeah, they basically said, "Look, Taiwan, America abandons their friends," in so many words, and we did. The thing that bothered me the most about Afghanistan is for the past 4 or 5 years, we were holding the Taliban at bay with 0 American casualties. Basically, the Afghans were fighting the ground war. We were directing it and using air power, and we were successful at holding off the Taliban. And people can say, well, should we have been there forever? Well, it's sad that, basically America's been over 20 years and Afghans still can't, hold themselves up by themselves. But on the other hand, if we're going to back out, you couldn't have done a worse job than what Biden did.
Right. See, the whole point of this war in Afghanistan, the war on terror, as George Bush infamously said. Okay, so why did America stay in Afghanistan when they knew that Al Qaeda and Osama bin Laden were no longer in that country? It made no sense. They had intel, they had info that bin Laden was in Pakistan. So why stay in Afghanistan? Why? I and moreover, the whole thing culturally with Afghanistan is that is the one country where 99% of the population is okay with Sharia law.
They are, yes.
99%. That is higher than Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and all the Middle Eastern countries. That is insane. Okay, so start. Go on.
No. I mean, I feel bad for the Afghan women there, but on the other hand, you can't win a war if your ally won't fight. I mean, it's
that, even that, and you can't win cultural war when the people of that country are in are comfortable with that particular ideology. I mean,
Fine.
you can't win a war. Like for example, like America can be what do you call, ultra liberal and inclusive and all those things, but you just can't go to Afghanistan and say that there are you
Yes.
can't you for a society that's so closeted and for a society that is so narrow-minded, you just can't go there and say that what, women will do this, there are transgender people here, there are more than two genders. They're going to be like, what nonsense, we're not going to believe that, because that's not what our book says. And for a country that has its population whom 99% believe in Sharia law, that's next to impossible. That's like a huge banana skin that America got itself into.
I am also shocked at the utter silence in the feminist movement over.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I mean,
yes. I mean, the silence is deafening.
oh my gosh.
Pin drop silence.
Well, not to sound conspiracy theorist, however, most conspiracy theorists seem a lot less crazy than they did 6 months ago. Yeah. But there is two possible explanations for why this happened, as opposed to Joe Biden just being incompetent. Number one, the way it unfolded now, you're right, gave China a big advantage. And if we're paying off American tax politicians and with Chinese money, that would explain that. Also, yes. The American politicians, especially the pro-legal immigration, you're getting a lot of immigrants right now, which I think will negatively affect our crime rate, because again, I mean, look at Europe. Did the crime rate up? It did. So yeah, we're getting basically a deal for China. We're getting increased immigration. And I think the big point is you're getting probably a president chameleon. So do you really, I mean, I know no one voted for Miss Harris, but this might have been a big plan to put her in.
I mean, remember towards the end of Trump's presidency, there was, Nancy Pelosi was talking about invoking the 25th Amendment to say that he was mentally ill. That was not for Trump. That was for Biden. They were laying the groundwork since then.
Mm-hmm.
He was just a pawn that was being used to get these people into power.
Yeah.
Because see now, if you see the Democrat primaries for all the candidates that are there, okay, they may be progressive, they may be women, they may be people of color, but nobody could have garnered votes like Joe Biden. Okay, like for the traditional Democrat. Okay, so what these people did was, what the Democrats did essentially was they were smart as ever. They were smart. They chose Biden as their representative, and then they chose a woman of color. Okay, like they want to call them, and because they knew that if it was anybody else, if it was say Liz Warren, or if it was Castro, or if it was Beto O'Rourke, they wouldn't have gotten so many votes. So they were smart. They just used Biden as a stepping stone, and now they're going to kick him off. I mean, I will not be surprised. I will not be surprised if they just let him go before the midterms.
Who will they pick as vice president?
I don't know. Maybe Hillary.
Pelosi, Harris Pelosi.
I don't know. See, because I don't know. I don't know if this is true, but I've read somewhere on the internet that Hillary Clinton is on calls with international leaders than Joe Biden. Why is that allowed to happen? I don't know how true this is, but apparently she's on calls.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, go on.
If there really is I know they're the deep state, but if there's really, really rich people calling the shots, you would want to pick somebody who's not the best and brightest, somebody who's easy to control, so you can control things behind the scenes.
What you know now, do you wish like you had a third term? And I used to say, you know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats, looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony. I'd be fine with that.
Scenes. So it would make sense to have a Biden or a Harris. as the person.
And mind you, Joe Biden is no slouch in these matters. He's been here for like 50 years,
Yeah.
so he knows what he's doing. But it's just that his brain isn't supporting him anymore. Like it's sad to see. It's almost lining on the verge of elder abuse, physical abuse.
Yeah. But maybe they knew he had dementia. And this was all part of the plan.
I mean, it was obvious, wasn't it, for the last 2 years?
Yeah.
Like he couldn't remember what he did last week.
Yeah.
Very obvious.
I mean, this was the way to get Harrison and then put somebody else that they want.
Right.
Oh,
But what is the talk among people like us in US, wherein I mean there have been lots of reports that the independent voters are so sad at what's happening. What about the traditional Democrat voters? Are they embarrassed with this as well?
Well, here's the thing, and this is why I think the single number one issue regarding everything we're talking about is voting integrity. Because all they're trying to do is put people that are in their camp in power. You know, like even yesterday, there was another block of an attempt audit at Pennsylvania. You know, if they can put whoever they want in if they can control the election.
Right.
And again, why I think fascism is coming to lead into the next topic. Without voter integrity, they have all the power, they have all the control.
Talking about voter integrity, the one thing that I want to know is why are Republican governors like Governor Kemp, Joni Ernst of Iowa, why are they in favor of housing Afghan refugees? I don't understand that, because that essentially is going to hurt the Republican Party, because they know they are no way going to vote Republican. They're only going to vote Democratic. So why the clamor for more refugees? And mind you, these are not. Sorry, what? Am I audible?
Oh no, I was just turning up my own volume. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, and so mind you, these people, they're not allies. They're economic refugees.
Yeah.
So and you know what happened the last time Europe housed economic refugees? Terrorist attacks went up like fodder. So I don't know what's going to happen now.
Oh,
see, so
why?
The one very startling thing that has been conveniently ignored ever since Trump became president till his last days was that there was no terrorist attack in Europe or in America.
Yep.
Yeah, and now you're going to see an influx of all these refugees coming, and you don't know who they are without proper vetting. It's a sad state.
Well, more than that, the State Department sent a bunch of unmarked visas to Afghanistan. So now the Taliban can legitimately.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like, God, how.
I mean, like you said, all this cannot be done through incompetence. It is being done on purpose.
Yeah.
Like even for people to be this incompetent, I mean, there's got to be. I mean, it's bordering on the levels of delusion, but this is being done on purpose.
Yeah. And basically, I don't remember the book. Somebody that lived under communist. I think it was a dissident from Stalin's Soviet Union. That basically, it's a lie, but you believe it anyway because they don't want to try to convince you. They want to break you. They want to demotivate you. They want you to give up.
I mean, it's come to such a point where even if you see all the facts that are against what you believe in, you still don't want to change your point of view because you're so brainwashed into it. And that is what George Orwell wrote in his book 1984. I mean, we are living in 1984 in the times in Orwellian times right now.
We're very close, and I'm shocked at the number of people that still don't get it, but people are waking up. And I just wonder that too little too late, and I'm hoping it is not too little too late.
So the thing is, every civilization, okay, it ranges from 240 years to 280 years. Okay, so if you see from 1776 to now, it's like 240, 250 years. So I think the American civilization as it was intended to be I think it's on its last legs until something very drastic happens.
Well, I'm hoping, obviously, you're wrong, because what you
Even I'm praying that I'm wrong.
what you mentioned, that it's not really American civilization, it's Western civilization.
Western civilization, yeah.
And it's democracy, or even though we're a republic, and that, you know, America falling would have ripples through the rest of the free world that would not be positive. But yeah, that's really it. I do think people are waking up, and I think one thing that everybody should thank Trump for is he pulled a lot of masks off people. Until Trump, I did not realize just how corrupt the press was, just how corrupt the GOP was, just how that there really isn't
the swamp was.
Yeah, that there really isn't Republican versus Democrat. It's establishment versus everybody else, and I didn't understand that until Trump.
Yeah, I mean that is the reason they hate him with such such ferocity.
You know, I didn't understand there really is a deep state, and this is the same group of people that Eisenhower warned us about in the 50s, the military-industrial complex.
Right.
You know, and it's just grown. And actually, honestly, I think the turning point, and I'm embarrassed that I supported it at the time, I think the turning point was the Patriot Act. It gave the intelligence communities too much power, and now I think them and the deep state and the coalition of businesses, they're running things.
Right.
And to their benefit and not to ours.
Yes.
Laura Logan, and actually she's a pretty well-known reporter. I want to give you the phrase. Whoever is in power right now, whoever is really pulling the strings, and I don't know that, but I don't know that they could do anything they want to change this. They could change this, and they're not. Right. So even Laura Logan is like wondering, who's really in power?
Yes.
A majority of the country does not think Joe Biden's in power.
He's not. Definitely he's not. He's not.
And the scary thing is right now, I'm going to post a video. The lockdown in Australia, there's a video. Did you see they were like arresting kids and pepper spraying kids?
Yes.
Look at this.
Family? Don't give any names.
My sister's arrested for shopping for food with no mask, and there's people walking around with no mask. Look at this. Just because my sister's not wearing a mask. Look at this. No, I was just saying it's not a part of the law to wear a mask. Look at this. Just for not wearing a mask. This is stupid. Look at this police over here not wearing a mask. I will record all of this. I don't care. Look, no mask. Look, there's more coppers coming. Look at this. Go. Arrest me. Go. Oh my God. Look at this. Stop. What the hell? Look at this. Look at this.
I don't care.
Look at this.
12-year-old.
Look at this. Look at this. My brother on the floor for nothing. People sprayed a 12-year-old. Fuck off. Get on there. Bring them. People sprayed a 12-year-old. Look at this. People sprayed a 12-year-old. Look at all of this. Look at this. No. I'm gonna just get my brother on the floor for nothing. Look at this. Look at this. Get my sister on the floor for nothing. Look at this.
They're forbidding people from talking to other people outside their home. hospitals now won't basically allow you in unless you have a vaccination. Even scarier, the Australian government is going to build mandatory quarantine facilities. This is all for a pandemic that has a 99% survival rate. You know, and CDC recently said, "Oh, we can't tell the difference between the flu and COVID with the PCR test." So yeah, we don't even know what the real numbers are.
In March, a report found that mask mandates contributed to a less than 2% decrease in COVID case growth after 100 days. Who put out this report? None other than the CDC. Now, if we want to talk about CDC numbers, we can talk about PCR tests. You can test positive on a PCR test if you have antibodies associated with the common cold. Who admitted that? None other than the CDC, and I'm happy to provide all of you with this information. Why did flu deaths in the year 2020 plummet astronomically? Did we suddenly cure the flu? Well, it turns out that on December 31st of this year, the CDC is ending the emergency use of the PCR test. Why? In order to give hospitals tools that can better differentiate between influenza and coronavirus. That is coming directly from the CDC. Of course, the media outside won't report that. Kerry Mullis, the inventor of the PCR test, a Nobel Prize winner, actually called Anthony Fauci a liar before Kerry Mullis died shortly before this coronavirus, and he was a great man. Now, Anthony Fauci actually funded the Bat Coronavirus Project at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, which President Trump and Mike Pompeo have pinpointed as the source of the outbreak. That is true. So I don't know why you want to mask children and punish children and deprive oxygen to their face instead of questioning the real power in this country, Dr. Anthony Fauci, and you can use the CDC information here. Concerned parents in Florida sent to the University of Florida lab their children's masks. You know what that lab found at the University of Florida? 21 pathogenic bacteria, including some that cause strep throat, Legionnaire's disease, diphtheria, and tuberculosis. Now, ladies and gentlemen, face freedom, if that's what you want to call it, supporters, that's an accurate term, face freedom supporters have been treated with nothing but contempt by the political class in this country. We do not live under the rule of teachers' unions. We do not live under the rule of nurses' unions. We do not live under the rule of Bill Gates and the Chinese Communist Party. How can you possibly have it on your conscience if you are going to tell three-year-olds who don't know anything about this world yet, that they can't breathe oxygen to their face? That's all I have to say.
This is an excuse to grab more power. This is an excuse to control the election. This is to know what the real numbers are. This is an excuse to grab more power. This is an excuse to control the election. This is an excuse to move on with the New World Order, where they have more power and we have less power.
And essentially what this does, especially when it comes to elections, is that they'll lay out a rule saying that people can't come and vote in person. They just have to send in mail-in ballots. And you know how that's going to turn out. So it's all about power grabbing. You're right.
Yeah. Did you read Jeremy Clarkson? And actually, I love Top Gear.
Jeremy Clarkson.
Yeah. He actually blasted the communist government advisors in Britain that wanted to keep the population locked down forever. I mean, people, I don't understand what they're saying. Basically, is, you know, because we're in a pandemic, there's, you know, we can ignore the Constitution. You know, there's no more individual rights if because of COVID. And what did Fauci say? Here's a quote: "If you get infected, even if you're without symptoms, you can infect another person. So you're encroaching on their individual rights."
This is the same guy who said no masks at the beginning of the pandemic. Yeah.
So I mean, basically saying, okay, so you're encroaching on their rights if you don't get the vaccine.
Yeah.
God. And I mean yeah.
These are close to Nazi times, you know.
They are.
Yeah.
And the fact that a good portion of the country is okay with this.
Right.
And now, New York Times reporter: Trump supporters are enemies of the state. What else do they? That big techs are going to share counterterrorism key databases to crack down on far-right militias. There it is. Biden Surgeon General Disinformation is a national health care threat. But, and this didn't make much news, there's the increased risk of severe disease among those that were vaccinated early. So the CDC is actually admitting the vaccination is increasing your risk of some disease.
Yes, and also last week, didn't Biden say that you have to get your third booster shot if you've either taken? Yeah, so that means that the vaccines don't work. I mean, that's just my opinion. Okay, so now I'm not forcing that on somebody else. If somebody else wants to go and take the vaccine, yes, go take the vaccine. More power to you. But just because somebody else doesn't want to take the vaccine, don't villainize them or don't demonize them.
Yeah.
Because again, it comes down to freedom of choice. And if people are skeptical, skeptical thinking about all the medical side effects that are going to occur later, then I mean, what's wrong? I don't see anything wrong with that.
And there's been increased suicides and overdoses because of the lockdown. They're actually saying babies born during the lockdown have a lower IQ now because of the lack of socialization, to the point where they're almost considered cognitively, I can remember the terminology, that it's almost like a cognitive deficit.
Wow.
But this is all, again, 99% of people that sit there and get this survive. The people that die usually have 2 or 3 comorbidities. You know, this is not dangerous for the average person. This is an excuse.
Right.
They're using this as an excuse for a power grab and a money grab. Right. But what did Flynn say? You know, the new Department of Homeland Security alert. You're a potential terrorist if you disagree with the White House on COVID or you believe there's voter fraud.
And I'll tell you what's ironic about that. They're focusing on all the wrong things when they have literal potential terrorists coming into the country by the southern border.
No, they're willing to have a few people die where they're, I mean, they don't care if a few peasants die. I mean, they have an agenda and they're going to push it. The scariest thing I saw, and I want to post a video here, that they're the French supermarket. They're hiring basically bouncers. You know that term? It's like a security guard.
Right. Yes,
to deny people entry to the grocery store if they don't have the government permission slip, the vaccine.
Je suis choquée des gens comme toi. Ah mais laissez-moi rentrer, vous êtes ouf. J'ai une tête à en Covid, moi. J'ai une tête à avoir cette mascarade là. Laissez-moi rentrer là. Vous êtes dehors. Vous êtes des malades, vous vous rendez pas compte de ce qui se passe. Vous êtes pas comme quoi. Moi je suis choquée pour la vie de ma mère. Mais qu'est-ce que tu vas monter dans sa virginité?
J'ai bien regardé les informations. Pour le pass, mais l'alimentaire, non. L'alimentaire, non. Non, l'alimentaire, non. Pas l'alimentaire. L'alimentaire, ils ont dit qu'il faut bien avoir accès. L'alimentaire, ils ont dit à la télé 1000 fois. 1000 fois, ils ont dit écoutez 1000 fois. D'accord? La garderie, oui. La garderie, on n'a pas le droit. C'est vrai. Mais l'alimentaire, vous n'avez pas le droit de vous empêcher de faire des courses. Ils ont dit à la télé 1000 fois, monsieur. 1000 fois. Est-ce que tu veux comprendre? Mais déjà ton masque.
Basically, you can't eat if you don't get the vaccine. All this is so freaking unconstitutional. All this is such a violation, you know, of rights. Fascism is coming if we don't fight this.
It is, but I just want to know your opinion on this. How long till the people revolt? I mean, people are revolting in some parts of the world, namely Australia and France.
Yes, I really think this will end, and the battle will be lost for them if we are able to have a free election. It's really that simple. People are so pissed the Democrats will get crushed in the next election. You could have a ferret run at a Republican and it would win. But it's all about,
fair
electorate voting. Do we have Dominion still running the voting systems?
Right.
What did Biden say? Yeah, Biden Surgeon General, free speech is killing people. You don't see where this is headed. Any audit Democrats, they took a communist sponsored trip to China.
Mm-hmm.
So gee, they took
I know,
it.
it's
And
ridiculous.
noticing, and if you remember the Chinese social credit, now we're getting vaccine credit. Basically, you're gonna have a vaccine card, and basically, okay, they can
We're mirroring what's happening in China.
Yeah, it's like HIPAA. Whatever the hell happened to HIPAA? Oh, well, now somebody can see if you have a vaccination record or not. In the military, they're actually marking people vaccinated and not vaccinated. I mean, here's the thing: if you allow the government to basically ignore your rights because there's an emergency, the government will create an emergency to violate your rights.
Yes, I mean, you can go back to Hillary Clinton's quote, which she said, "Never let a crisis go to waste." I think that's what's happening now. Yeah.
And this is it. I mean, my opinion, and I can't prove this, I think COVID is a real thing, but 99% survivable unless you have another issue.
Yeah. I mean, yes, COVID is a real thing. COVID is there out there, but then to blow it up in such a manner and say that just because you don't have a vaccine doesn't mean you can't have your daily lifestyle. That's wrong.
But they're forcing the vaccine simply so they can force you to do whatever they want. And they're using the pandemic to change voter laws, basically have a power grab.
And the sad part is
money grab.
most of the people are sheep here. They just blindly follow what the governments tell them.
That's the goal. That's the goal. And honestly,
I mean, you don't find any free thinkers anymore.
Yeah. And I would not be surprised if China did this on purpose, working with some other groups as a pre-planned use to to basically change the world order.
Right.
And there's been false flags before. That. That term?
False flag, yes.
Okay, I mean, so why would you think that governments wouldn't do that now?
Exactly, 100%, and especially when especially after how Trump exposed the deep state and these career politicians, they are more desperate. They more desperately want to do that now more than ever. They want to grab power. They just want to to control the media from reporting facts. And if that's what's happening now, if you look at liberal media, they're very there are very few mainstream media outlets like the Daily Mail, for example, that are surprisingly covering everything that Joe Biden is doing wrong. But apart from them, and I don't know, apart from the New York Post, maybe everything is sold out. Every media outlet is sold out, and the less we talk about television media, I mean, the better.
Yeah. Did you see that Biden press conference where you can tell it was edited?
Yes.
Like he's here and then all of a sudden he's there, and it's obviously edited.
And also one more thing. Okay, so such a debacle as Afghanistan happened, and he just comes out, reads from a teleprompter, and just shows his backs and walks off. That's ridiculous. Why isn't anybody holding him accountable?
Yeah. There was another instance, I think he was talking to NPR, where basically the guy asked him a question and Biden said, and I can put the video in here, the question was supposed to be blah, blah, blah.
With the embassy out and so on. And thank God, so far, knock on wood, we're in a different position. Scott Detro, Scott, NPR.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to follow up on something you said a moment ago. You said that there's no circumstances where American citizens cannot get to the airport. That doesn't really square with the images we're seeing around the airport, with the reporting on the ground from our colleagues who are describing chaos and violence. Are you saying unequivocally that any American who wants to get to the airport is getting there and getting past the security barrier and to the planes where they want to go?
I thought the question was, how can they get through to the airport outside the airport?
So, I mean, there's right there evidence that basically the questions are pre-planned.
Right.
You know, this is.
This happened previously also, didn't it? When he had gone outside for I think it was the G7 summit or whatever, and then he only selected certain journalists to ask the questions, but then he wouldn't take questions from. Sorry, it was the meeting with Vladimir Putin. Mm-hmm. Like he only said he didn't let the Russian journalists ask him questions, but he only chose NBC and CNN and MSNBC.
Yeah, I think this next year, because November of next year isn't that far away. It's only a year and change. If this will be the big turning point for this country, whether or not we're going to be free or not. I mean,
if Biden is deposed, if they remove Biden and put Harris in charge, and like you said, if you have fair elections, then the Democrats are going to get crushed. It doesn't matter.
Yes,
they're going to get crushed. There is no way. Sorry, go on.
But you have to do things like get the election under control, like the Newsom, California election that's happening right now to recall Newsom. There are these holes in these election ballots where you can see if they voted yes or no, and you also have a crease right where Larry Elder's
name, right,
and a crease makes it more likely for the computer to not read that. This was done on purpose.
So remember, I told you my cousin who lives in California.
Yes.
Yeah. So his father-in-law is a very well-known man there. He's in medical field. So apparently, what he told my cousin was, Gavin Newsom he's got a very wide reach. Even if there's a recall election, he's saying that he'll find some way to win this election again, and then continue destroying California. That's what he told him apparently. So
yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, we need to understand that if we don't have free elections, everybody loses.
I mean, not just America, the world.
Yes, and
this is going to be looked at as a template for even other countries to follow suit. Yeah,
it is. And I would not be surprised if China's working with other groups, probably in America, just so they have absolute control. And again, it's not Republican versus Democrat. It's not Russia versus China. I mean, America versus China. It's basically the people in charge versus everybody else.
I mean, imagine how bad it has turned out to be. Like America and England and of course USSR, they all came together to defeat fascism and Nazism in the 1940s. But now, look at what's happening. They are the ones who are turning into the actual Nazis. It's just sad to see.
Yeah,
and that is a result of the people born after that, after the 40s and 50s. This is all a result of them not reading history.
Yeah.
This is the result of them wanting to erase history to just write their own sort of, history.
Well, I still think all of this, whether it's the Black Lives Matter group, critical race theory, it's all about dividing and conquering. Yeah. Everything is done to isolate, divide, and demoralize people. Every single thing that happens is done to increase power for the state, the deep state, and the elites, and to take power away from us, and to weaken us, and to basically demoralize us. That's the point of all of this. Then we can be controlled.
And then I think if things continue to go down this road, then I see a lot of people leaving the country and going. And where
are they going?
And that I see, because that is going to show in the census, because apparently by 2044, the white people are going to be a minority in America.
Yeah. Where the hell are we going?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Eastern Europe.
Mars.
I'm being a little more conservative here.
I mean, yeah, and if we go, it's going to be hard to have a democracy anywhere.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, because they're little clowns in charge. So if
Yeah.
if the smart ones go, who's left?
And again, if they're really the deep state, they would want a easily controlled idiot in the front, so because it's easy to control people like that. They would not want to put a smart, intelligent, competent person in charge because they can't control that person. So I'm not shocked at all.
Trump, for example, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why they hated Trump. They couldn't control Trump. And again, well, Trump says mean tweets. Yeah, I wish I had his mean tweets now. You wouldn't have like all these people. God, we have like the largest hostage situation in American history. This makes what happened to Carter look like nothing. And look how far America's fallen. That a lot of people don't care. A lot of people think Biden's doing great.
Apparently, right now in Afghanistan, this news just came out a couple of hours ago. ISIS is in cahoots with Taliban, and they're planning to hold people hostage there. So I don't know how true that is.
I would not be shocked. Actually, I'm surprised it has. Actually, what's sad, Britain is actually having to rescue Americans because we're too much of a wuss to do it ourselves. I mean, what do you think it's doing? Here's the thing. What do you think this is doing to our enemies? This is obviously going to motivate our enemies.
100%,
somebody did a video where they took the Chinese military recruitment ad and compared it next to a Russian military recruitment ad, and then put it next to an American military recruitment ad.
Yes.
You know what the American military recruitment ad talked about? Politically correct things.
I know. Like being the daughter of two mothers and being an agent of good family. This liberal madness.
Yeah.
And then in the Chinese and the Russian commercial, you had very, very tall, like giants who are just strong and cold-blooded killers.
Yes.
And compare that to this.
So what people don't realize, you hate gays. No, we have enemies out there past the gates that hate America, hate democracy. What do they think when they see these videos?
Right.
And these barbarians at the gates, they don't care who they hurt. Is this making them fear America, or is this making them think America the laughing stock? And that's what you have.
They're laughing at America.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you the general consensus in India right now. Even people in India, the average, say a young Indian, even they're like, dude, what's happening in America right now?
Yeah,
it's just a mess.
There was this video of this transgender guy in the White House, and he was like really flamboyant. And that's your business. However, you're posting it, and again,
are you referring to the vaccine commercial?
No, it was just some intern guy with like colorful nails and everything.
Yeah, he was the one trying to push the vaccine, right?
Oh, okay. Well, my point is, are you a hater? No, my point is, what does China think when they see this? What does Russia think when they see this? What does the Taliban think when they see this? You have to tell you
what they think. They are bored of all this nonsense.
Yeah, you have to not think of like us conservatives versus liberals. People that don't like this country, what does it do for them? Does it encourage them? Does it make them think the United States is weaker? Does it encourage them to sit there and plan stuff against us? Bin Laden said after the Mogadishu, Somalia Black Hawk Down incident that America was a paper tiger, and he wanted to attack us because he thought we wouldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, what I read in Daily Mail today was Bin Laden apparently wanted to assassinate Joe Biden, but then he backed off, saying that Joe Biden is going to be a very incompetent president, and in turn is going to help the Al Qaeda and the Taliban. So yes, I mean that's what's happening now.
And that's what I wish people would understand. If we're making ourselves look weak, we're inviting attacks.
Right. And just imagine the amount of allies that America has, small countries, even they're going to be at risk from China.
Yes.
This happens. Yeah.
And you have to not think, oh, gee, conservatives versus liberals. what do these other countries think? And take off your filter and your own personal biases for a second. When you look at their ads and their video and their culture and compare it to us without any bias and filter, does it encourage them to view us weak and thus act against us? And in my opinion, yes, it does.
100%. Then there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And
You're from India.
Yes, from India.
I mean, what's on the streets? It makes us look bad. It makes us look weak. Correct?
Yes, 100%. Like I told you, like the average Indian is like, dude, what's happening in America right now? It's their laughing stock. But when Trump was there, they're like, oh shit, okay, let's see what Trump's doing. You know, let's see what he's up to. Let's go on Twitter and see what he's doing, because there was a new bombshell every day. He would just call out people as he seemed fit, and that is what you need in a leader.
Yeah,
that is what you need in a leader. Yes, and not just Trump. I mean, people like Trump. You know,
Trump actually, I heard, said to the Taliban basically that because he was trying to have a peace treaty, and everyone's fakely trying to blame it on him. He told the Taliban point blank, if you try anything, I will hunt every one of you down.
Yes.
This is right after he blew up Soleimani, the
Qasem Soleimani,
commander,
the Iranian general.
Yeah. Yes. He blew him up, so Iran didn't mess with us anymore. In fact, when they threw a missile strike at us, they actually warned the American base, so everyone got out. There were 0 American casualties, because Trump said, point blank, you kill an American, you will regret it.
Yes.
They were afraid of him.
There was this press, I think it was in the White House, where there was this press conference, and Trump said that if he wanted to win the Afghan war, he would win it in 1 week. But he didn't want to kill 10 million of people. He didn't want to go that route. That is the one thing that was stopping him from going nuclear on Taliban.
People don't understand that a lot of other people in the world only view things through power and strength. Mao Tse-tung, political power is derived from the barrel of a gun. And when you're dealing with people like that, you dare not show weakness. And so all these American sensibilities don't mean crap to the rest of the world. And this is why we're going to get into trouble, because the rest of the world no longer respects us.
I mean, yes, just take into account the Muslims that live in America. Okay, they fled their countries, they fled their poor countries, and now they're in America. But just ask them what they think of Sharia law, and they think Sharia law is what they want. So what does that tell you as a culture? And I'm not demonizing them. I'm just saying that the Sharia law goes against everything that the West stands for.
Absolutely.
And if you have lots and lots of them, people who by saying them I mean people who believe in Sharia law, if you have lots and lots of them come into your country, that is going to fundamentally change your country from the bottom up, because the current generation is so liberal, it is so open that they will allow themselves to be changed than stick to their morals just to be politically correct.
Yeah. And Sharia law, besides it is not compatible with a democratic republic.
100%.
And the thing is, what people again don't realize, well, it's just a few immigrants. Well, if they're having 8 kids and you're having 1.5, what's going to happen in 100 years? And like, again, where are all these defenders of women's rights?
And by the way, those people don't believe in abortion. They believe abortion is sin.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, every aspect of liberal feminist sensibilities will be damaged erased by Sharia law, and I don't care.
These people just don't understand how lucky they are to be in a country like America, because if they had the same ideology somewhere in the Middle East or even the Far East, they would be killed.
Yes. Yeah. Modern liberalism, and especially feminism, is a suicide pact if everyone thought that way. I mean, we would be crushed in 40 years, and that's the thing. They're playing with, to me, a giant Jenga game with the pillars of what holds up our society. And they really think they can remove 1 or 2 things and nothing else will crash down because of it. That's not the case. I mean, they think they can deal with the devil, communist China, and because communist China now likes the dollar, that they can just buy their enemies. But what happens,
and it's not like China is short on money either.
Yeah, the Alibaba guy, what's his name?
Jack Ma.
Disappeared, right?
Yeah, disappeared for 5 months.
And have he turned up again?
Yeah, they found he's come back again.
Well, here's the thing.
Nobody knows what happened.
Yeah, you think you have money and you'll deal with China, but in the end, they call the shots, and you're still a slave.
Yes, I mean, if you can do that if you live in America, but not you can't live in China and go against the Communist Party.
Yeah, I mean, I hope we're not too late, but we're getting really close. And if enough people don't wake up, then I might see the end of a constitutional republic in my own lifetime. And considering I have kids, I feel for them.
And also, America was the first country to bring about this whole to bring about a republic and a democracy and elections and voting. So, and after that, each country followed suit. But if America dies, if the concept of America no longer exists, then that's going to affect the whole world as well, because they're going to use this as a template to implement these sort of policies or whatever in their own country as well, and that is going to be doom for everyone. I mean, everything. I mean, going by what's happening now, we are heading towards Agenda 21. I mean, it looks like that. We touch on this every episode, but yeah, that's where we're heading.
Lincoln said America will never be conquered from without, but it might be from within, and that is proven to be pretty freaking accurate.
Academia. There's the answer. Academia. Yeah. You infiltrate academia. I mean, you control people's minds.
Yeah, and I heard some people like, how did this happen so quickly? It didn't happen quickly.
Yeah,
I mean, the colleges were taken over by the progressives and the communists.
Was it the late 50s? Was it the late 50s?
50s, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that is when they had all these socialist policies being taught, and then gender ideology and all these things. Yep. So it happened. Now we're 70 years into it, and see what's happening.
So you lost the colleges first, then you started losing newspapers, and now the government starts turning, and now you have local officials turning.
Right.
That's how you lose your rights. And all of a sudden, wow, what happened? No, you've been ignoring it for 50 years.
Right.
And you're shocked all of a sudden it comes eventually to you. A lot of people don't realize it's crap until it happens to them. And by the time it happens to them, it is too late.
It is. I agree.
And and how do you get rid of people? You start by demonizing them. You start separating people. I mean, buildings. What did Australia build? They're going to build a mandatory vaccination camp, a quarantine camp. Gee, what's that sound like?
Did you see a video where the Australian nurses or the medical officials, they were vaccinating the 3-year-old boy, and then he just collapsed. And there was one person who was taking the video, and then
Stop this now. Aussie kids are collapsing.
I'm allowed to record. I'm allowed to record. Why not? That's highly inappropriate to do. How is that inappropriate?
The nurses were just standing before him saying, don't record it. I'll send you that video so that you can
send me that video, because that's one I did not see.
I will. Yeah.
But there is, it's already been reported that, and I wish I remembered this because I would have researched it. There is an increase in some kind of illness with the vaccine. It's primarily boys.
Really?
I'm gonna have to look it up, or I'll put a comment at the end of the film.
I mean, it's all a mess, man.
It's
depressing to even talk about such things.
And and the thing is, it's not even that even if this vaccine is only semi-dangerous, it's the fact that they can force us to take a vaccine. I mean, Nuremberg, how horrible it was at the medical experiments of the Nazis.
Yes.
Gee,
Yes.
you're forcing people to do a medical experiment. It always gets.
So will all the medical officials be held accountable at the end of all this? I don't think so.
Name me a time when increased power doesn't get abused. Name me a time when a country gave away power back to the people. Name me a time when countries became less tyrannical. Tell me when government's like, okay, we don't want that power anymore. We're giving it back.
See, because once they have that thirst power like quenched, right? They want it more and more and more. And that is just going to lead to them doing bad things. I mean, going extreme lengths to get that power back. And and who's going to suffer? The people.
Yeah. I mean, like the Holocaust, I remember the Jews talking about Germany. Well, we weren't worried about it until we had to wear like yellow stars on our shirts. They always thought, well, they won't do that. They won't do that. And they thought that until they started doing that.
That's what's happening with all these vaccine passports now.
Yeah.
We're heading there. Yeah,
and the simple fact is, if every single American said the hell of this, it would stop. If every single American said no more, it would stop. Because they really can't, as Rand Paul said, they can't make all of us do it. But then Twitter banned Rand Paul.
Yes.
Yeah, fascism is coming unless we do something to stop it.
Yes. Again, it goes back to election integrity, because if you don't have if you don't have fair elections, how can you elect the right person?
Yeah. And I mean, like every single thing that we need to do is dependent on fair elections. Everything's impacted. 100%. Everything.
Yes.
Nothing else.
Because if there are no free elections, we're pretty much living in a Marxist country, in a communist country. Yeah.
What Stalin say, it's not who votes that matters, it's who counts the vote that matters.
Right.
And everyone called me a conspiracy theorist for like believing there's voter fraud. I'm more convinced than ever. And
people called Alex Jones a conspiracy theorist 6 years ago. Look what's happening now.
Yeah. I mean, and the Arizona results haven't even came in yet, but I'm more convinced than ever.
So so Seth Keshel, right, the guy who's counting, he does he just does the election audits every year. Every election. So he said the other day that if you're surprised by the public reaction about what's happening in Afghanistan, just wait till you hear that Biden didn't win Arizona. Yeah, that is gonna send shockwaves.
This next year is going to be very pivotal, and
before we end the show, I want to know how, like, is there any way that Trump can be back, or is it just 2024 that we are?
Trump made some announcement. Who asked him? One of those Fox hosts asked him.
Sean Hannity.
Okay. And he said you would like the answer. Trump's quote was, "You're going to like the answer," which to me would imply yes.
Yes.
And Trump easily will win any real fair primary. The question is, 100%. Can really, honestly, the state legislatures do what they need to do to make sure they're the fair election? If they do,
right,
then the people in control will get crushed. The Democrats will get crushed. It's really honestly up to the state legislatures and like rank and file Republicans to keep the pressure on them to ensure that this continues. So this is really up to the people and this, Republicans on the state level. But yeah, I think if they do what they need to do, Trump was going to win again. And then this time, hopefully he picks DeSantis as vice president. This time he will clean the swamp. Drain the swamp.
I hope he's even more successful this time.
Well, I mean...
Just drain the swamp totally.
Well, he didn't realize, and I have to admit, I didn't realize just how deep the swamp was. I didn't realize how corrupt people were. I did not realize how many of the GOP were corrupt. These were all things that were a surprise to me. And that's,
Yes.
I think, the biggest failing of Trump is he didn't drain the swamp enough. In fact, he barely touched it. You know,
I think what went wrong with Trump was during the beginning of his presidency, where he had to fire General Flynn. That I think that was his first. What do you call it? It wasn't his mistake. He was just forced to do that. But then it was just a very sad thing, because I think if he had Flynn with him, I think he would have evaded all this.
Yeah. And also, like, people like Pence, I didn't think Pence was like that. There was too many.
I mean, me neither. Yeah, I thought Pence was like the perfect. What do you call?
VP.
Like he was like, yeah, is VP, and then I thought that after Trump would win 2020, he would then go. Pence would then go on to be president for two more terms. But
I mean, he needs to sit there and like hire people that all they want to do is drain the swamp and give power back to the American people. That's all he needs.
Right.
That's it. Because then America will do fine on their own.
Yes.
But he needs to sit there and really understand who's on which side. And I think really honestly, we can tell right now who's for election audits and who isn't. Everyone that isn't is on the side of the establishment.
Yes, and if they're so sure that they won the elections, why are they so scared of the audits? Just a simple question.
I mean, the fact that they threaten people, they're threatening people, and they're calling people that are auditing terrorists. That's not how innocent people act.
Not just auditing, but even questioning the integrity of the elections. The terrorists now.
That's how guilty people act. And really, if you're for the audits, you're for like freedom. If you're against the audits, you're for continued growth of the deep state and eventually the loss of majority of your freedoms. You'll get what they want you to get. And it's really that.
I mean, they're just going to use them till they get even more power, and once that is done, they're going to trample over them as well.
Yeah. I mean, I really think we would not have fascism if the Republican voters keep the pressure on and ensure that the states do what they need to do to ensure election integrity. If they don't, I think it's going to.
First thing, get all the rhinos out. They are the ones that are the most problematic here.
Yep. If we don't, there's going to be fascism in my lifetime, and I really hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Well, any last parting thoughts?
I mean, I don't know. Let's just pray for what's going to happen in Afghanistan. Yeah, let's just pray for what's happening in Afghanistan. See, I mean, the British army is trying to evacuate Americans, but not the American army. So what's happening? So let's just pray, and even let's pray for all the allies that have helped. The US
and like that, it was crushing. Like that video, that poor Afghan boy soccer star that got caught in the wheel and fell out. I mean, this is like
he was a soccer player for the Afghanistan national team.
This could not be sadder, I mean, and really, I think.
I mean, did you see the video where there was one body that was caught in between, like during mid-flight, like they clicked the video, they shot a video where his body was literally in some sort of a propeller, and then only his legs were like dangling out.
Yes, I saw that. It was a horrible video.
Yeah. I mean, to even think that aircraft normally houses like 100 people, but in the end, that aircraft housed like 800 people. So, I mean, credit to the pilots.
This is why I think, like, if the media was fair, the Democrats wouldn't win any elections, because I think they're purposely being fair for like 5 minutes because they want a Harris presidency.
And also, have you noticed how the liberal media have turned their backs on Joe Biden over the last couple of days?
Yeah,
maybe they're all bashing him now.
A lot of conservatives said, including me, and I even posted it somewhere, that Biden won't last a year. Because this was on purpose. Why would you elect somebody who's the
I somehow felt that Biden would finish one term, but it's looking highly unlikely now. I mean, it's just 7 months, and look at the mess that the US is in.
Yeah, I mean, I've never said the Democrats are dumb. They definitely
they're very smart.
They're very smart, and
they're viciously smart. That's the term. Yeah.
And they know their long-term goals. They know how to achieve them, and they fight like hell. I mean, like this. If if this was opposite, the Trump would have had to resign already.
Yes.
I mean,
yes,
the GOP is doing everything they can not to take political advantage of this situation.
Yes.
Where are they? You know, where are they? Where are they with the audits? Where are they? I mean, they have nothing to say.
Apart from a few senators like Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley.
Yeah. You know, I mean, either they're incredibly cowardly, they're incredibly dumb, or they want this to happen, or they're part of it. And I believe they're part of it.
I think it's the latter too. Yeah.
It's DC versus the people, and whether what party you're at, you're still DC.
I honestly hope that, you know, there's a secession, and then, you know, states get to govern themselves, and if the liberal establishment, you know, the people who want to live in all those liberal cities, they can be a separate thing, but, you know, the conservatives can be in a separate state, and then, you know, I think that's going to happen. I don't know.
I think the fate of our republic will hang on state elected GOP officials and GOP voters in 6 states.
Right. 6 states, and what are they?
Yeah, the rest of it, I don't think they have complete control of all the states.
And when 6 states, what are they?
The Georgia.
Uh-huh.
That would be Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, right.
Pennsylvania.
So basically all the battleground states.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Ohio, Nevada, Arizona.
Michigan.
Yeah. So yeah. Because they're not taking Florida.
Yeah. Florida and Texas is not happening. That's not happening.
You know.
That's not happening.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if freaking California went Republican. You can never.
I mean that apparently that's what happened the last election. But
I would not be surprised. You know, because
what my cousin tells me is he drives along the coast and he sees like hundreds and hundreds of Trump flags, but that is not what's reflecting in the elections. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, there is no doubt, and everyone's like, "There's voter fraud." There's always been a lot of voter fraud. There's been people arrested for voter fraud on this election. The question is, was it enough to affect the outcome? And I think there was, and you would never know the answer unless we do an audit.
It would have been different had the Supreme Court taken up the case, but they didn't.
You can't tell me there wasn't voter fraud because many people have been arrested for it. Obviously, there was voter fraud.
There is.
Was there enough to change the outcome? And
yes, I believe so.
I believe so too. And the simple fact that they're suppressing audits only supports my case. But sir, that is probably, what time is it in India?
It's 1:30 a.m.
Good time.
Yeah, 1:30 a.m. Yeah.
All right. Well,
30 in the morning.
Let's hope things go better. I think it's gonna be a very interesting week. I can't wait till the Arizona audit comes out.
Yes.
And hopefully that spurs the rest of the country, like Pennsylvania.
Yes.
I would, and
I mean, if Arizona comes out in favor of Trump, then Pennsylvania is going to follow suit, and then Georgia, and then I think all the battleground states will follow suit. And if that happens, then the election has to be overturned. But I don't know what's going to happen, because has anything like this ever happened?
No, this would be completely unprecedented. And the thing is, if the Republicans
and see how interesting this is. The first guy who was a non-politician to be elected is the one who's exposing everything.
Yeah. And I think the key thing is that the Republican establishment don't want Trump to return.
Yes. So I mean, see Mitch McConnell, see Lindsey Graham. That's what's happening. Yeah.
Even if it's proved that he won, I think the establishment itself will fight it. And
I think it all depends on what are your thoughts on Kevin McCarthy?
Who?
Kevin McCarthy, the House minority, the Senate minority leader.
Too weak. He hasn't even stripped Cheney of any of her powers and chairmanships. I mean, he is another establishment dude.
But then apparently he's on good terms with Trump. So.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, Trump as a businessman probably had to work with lots of people he doesn't like. I mean,
that was his magic.
Yeah,
he was so successful because he went about it like a business.
Yeah.
And he found out what was right for America, and he went forward with that.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's like a handful of legitimate conservatives that really care. You know, Cotton, and Marjorie Green.
Marjorie Taylor Greene,
yeah.
And then Josh Hawley, Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
And Rand Paul.
Yeah, I'm missing a
forgetting?
few, I'm sure, but yeah, and then the rest of it, they're establishment. And they would do nothing to change things, because look at the hell what's happening now. They've said nothing.
Right.
And again, just to remind you, the CDC extended the moratorium on
when did they have the power to do this?
Yeah. They don't have the power. They don't have the power to extend that moratorium. That's completely unconstitutional, and no one cares. And again, where's the Republicans? Crickets.
Nowhere to be found.
Yep. Well, it's going to be a very interesting, kind of scary year. So let's just hope and pray.
2021 has turned out to be a shit year anyway. So let's see what all shit it has to throw on our faces.
Yeah.
We just have like 5 more months left. So let's see.
Okay, sir. I appreciate your time again, and had another great talk. So, talk to you in a week, and let's see what craziness will happen between now and then.
Yes. Same here, Rob. Same here.
All right, man. Have a good evening to you. See you.
You too. Bye-bye.